hapon po sa inyong lahat. Welcome to another episode of PhilAm in Focus, a program by the Asian Community Development Council, or ACDC, where we shine a light on critical issues, empowering stories, and uplifting opportunities shaping the Filipino-American experience. Ako po ang inyong host, Adelvi Solano. Happy Pride Month po sa inyong lahat. June is also a time to honor and celebrate the LGBTQIA plus community, not just for who they are, but for the incredible work that they do every day. From small business owners and artists to activists, community leaders, educators, the LGBTQIA plus individuals are creating spaces of joy, justice, and belonging. Today, we're joined by Reina and T, owners of Afterlife Tea and Boba Room, and it is a LGBTQIA plus owned Boba Cafe here in Las Vegas, located in the heart of Chinatown. From creating a unique drink flavors to creating a safe and affirming space for all. So they're doing more than just, serving tea, and they're also brewing something, a lot of events for our community. So let's talk about what it's like running a small business-owned business, especially a local LGBTQIA plus, and how the youth and creatives and the challenges, and know more about the challenges and triumphs they are facing. So thank you again, Reina and T, for having us here at your boba shop. It's so great to be here, and it looks very nice too.
Thank you. Well, we made the inspiration of the darkness of it.
Yes.
We wanted people to feel safe, and that's kind of the main part of it. The ambiance of it is we want people to know that it can be crazy out there, but there's places out there that is safe for you to go to.
That's amazing. And you were telling me about the inspiration behind the dark room is Tia, because she is.
Yeah.
She loves, I understand, horror movies. Is that correct?
Yeah, she's into more of the Halloween, the horror stuff and everything like that. But even though a lot of people look at her and she's really quiet and everything, she may be hard to talk to at first point, but once you break down those walls, she's a really big goof. So.
Oh, yeah. You don't look like you're a fan of horror movies because of your very calm and quiet demeanor. So, and then also you mentioned that it's also you're a collector of
Harley Quinn, yeah.
Harley Quinn.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Harley Quinn, and I think a majority of the reason why is because I like to connect with things a lot of times. So if there's no story or anything that I feel connected to, I'm like, man, it's not for me,
I see.
For me, Harley Quinn, the connection there is the idea of, always constantly smiling, yeah, you feel insane, and sometimes you want to act on that behavior. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means sometimes you make not so right decisions, and that's what makes us human,
Right.
So I also that's why the idea of Harley Quinn was just so catching to me. So,
I see. And aside from being a Harley Quinn fan and also a horror movie fan, can you tell us more about yourselves, and then how the idea of Afterlife Tea and Boba Room came to life?
Well, I mean, the whole idea of owning a boba shop was really something inspired with my life and growing up. My mom, when I was younger, I know that my mom had her own small business. She sold clothing called Simply Guy. My mom's name was Ligaya. So that's why it was called Simply Guy. So I always thought my mom was this really strong, inspiring woman, that she can do it all, and I knew that one day I wanted to be just like her. But I got into the foster care system. I learned a lot about my mom, still love her just from a distance kind of thing. And I, knew that one day I would own my own shop. I just didn't know in what. But when I got in the foster care system, and when I was 16 years old, I was actually homeless. And I got a job making boba that got me off the streets. and I fell in love with it. The idea of mixing drink, zoning out into it, you know. Therapy was never my thing growing up. But if you need therapy, you should go to therapy. I will say that right now. Therapy is a good thing to have. But back then, I didn't really understand the meaning of therapy. So it was just so therapeutic for me to make drinks and to watch people drink it and, you know, watch them fall in love with the crazy ideas I make, you know. And you never know if that one cup will change someone's life. And that's when I knew that, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to have my own boba shop. I want to make sure that the people who come in, the people who work for me, always feel safe, always feel wanted, always feel like they have a place to go to, because that's the way I felt when I would make boba. So that's the kind of inspiration of it, and the meaning behind Afterlife is, you know, starting over. We're all born into a life we didn't choose. It doesn't mean it has to stay that way. As long as you work really hard for what you want, you can get it. So.
Wow, we just started the discussion, the chat, and wow, that's such an inspiring story, Reina, and knowing that creating something became your therapy. So that's very inspiring, and I'm sure, you know, a lot of our viewers and listeners will be inspired by what you just said. Like even with that, yes, we encourage everyone to go to therapy, but you know, if you can create something, and that could be something to get you calm, be safe, and that's something that they should follow too.
Yeah.
So building on that, again, why did you choose this location here in Las Vegas?
So I actually didn't want to stay in Las Vegas because of my history here, but every time I tried to leave, there was something telling me that I needed to stay. And I think it was the fact that I knew I wanted to own my own shop, and I didn't know anywhere else better like I knew Las Vegas. So growing up here, I know lots of people. I know how to connect to people here. I know how to speak to people here. You know? And we've never really realized the culture shock being from one state to another. You know, we do live in like the city that never sleeps, right? So being able to be out late at like, to most people it's like 10 o'clock is late. For us it's like, oh, that's like just getting off work, you know, if anything. Being able to do that here and not being able to do that, my sisters and my brother, they live up in Washington, so we go visit them. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to go get some boba, and it's 9 o'clock at night. They're like, everything's closed. Everything closed at 8. I'm like, why? You know? So for me, it was really just understanding the way this city works. That's the reason why I stayed. And we had a great opportunity with this shop. It was like perfect timing for us. The owner of the shop originally just wanted to sell the place, be done with what they were doing. It was originally a boba supply store here, but he was like, oh, you know, this is too much for me, so he sold it. But unfortunately, it wasn't to me right away. It was to another group of people. And I met them, and they were like, oh, how do you know about this place? I said, oh, I've been coming here since I was a teenager. You know, I always make boba at home and everything. And I actually was going to buy this place from the guy, but he sold it to you guys before me. And they were like, oh, we don't want the location. We just want the actual business. So we bought them out of their lease, and we got the shop.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, thank you for sharing. And I know, I mean, Las Vegas is such a diverse community, and it is as a place where it is safe and very inclusive, as you have experienced also. And T also, can you share your personal story regarding this opening a business? Opening a business with Reina.
Well, to be honest, I never would have seen myself here like years ago. But we met, we started dating. I always knew she loved boba. That was like one of the first things I knew about her. Like she would always ask me to go out and be like, hey, do you want to go get some boba? And I actually was not a boba lover, so I was just like, okay, I think you're cool, so let's just go. Let's just go get boba. That's fine. So yeah, it never really was my thing. Yeah. But I had always known her love for boba, and I knew that her background and at some point in our relationship, and this was like a couple years down, she had started telling me, oh, I need to do something more with my life. I need to be doing more. I can't keep working these jobs where I don't feel passionate about what I'm doing, where I don't feel like it's right for me to stay. And so I said, okay, you know what? You want to do this? We can do this, but you just have to do it, you know. And I bought the LLC for her, and I don't.
Yeah.
I bought it, and I was like, you can do this. I believe in you.
We might have been in a little bit of a manic stage.
Wow.
But I did believe in her, and because I could see that passion, and I think I respected it, because growing up for me, that was something that passion, following your dreams, it was never really something that was like taught to me. It was more like, oh, you're gonna go to school, you're gonna graduate, you're gonna work your job, retire, then that's it, you know.
Typical Asian.
Yeah.
Follow the line,
Yeah,
you know?
the Asian like route.
Yeah. So I think that I was more so inspired by her passion for things, and even though it wasn't my passion at the time, I think that it became one when I saw how much she loved doing it and how much she loved like being involved in the community. And eventually I was just like, this is actually a really awesome journey to be a part of. And so ever since then I've just been kind of like, yeah, let's just do this.
Oh my God! Wow. And Reina became a positive influence to you, and at the same time, like it inspired you to not take the Asian route, but rather like be you're very supportive. Wow, that's good. And then you just help her and believe in her, and that's what we all need: someone to believe in our dreams.
Yeah.
Oh, but wow, that's amazing. That's why you're the perfect couple. And
Well,
then,
I mean, I think that's part of what made it so much more easier for me to go for it. Because one of the biggest things, the reason why it stopped me for so long to go for it is like I've always had recipes, I've always had new ideas of how to make it great, right? But I've never really had like that support, like the belief like I can do it. I would always tell people like, oh, I'm going to own my own boba shop one day. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You know, I can talk, like as you can see. But I never really had somebody that I felt truly believed in me. And when we first met, I was actually in a really, really low and dark place in my life, and I was just so ready to like give up everything. I didn't want to be here anymore. I was tired of talking and hoping somebody heard me. And she was the first person, didn't even know me. She just came up to me and she just asked me if I was okay, you know. And that alone was like, why are you asking me? You don't know who I am. Like, what? That's crazy. And she just kept constantly asking me, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And I was like, okay, why are you asking me? Like, leave me alone. Let me be sad, you know? And she's like, nope, that's not going to happen. And I think that's the greatest part about our relationship is that we constantly do that for each other. And again, when we first started this business, that was exactly where I was again. It wasn't one of my lowest moments, but it was another moment where I felt like, why am I here? What am I doing here? I'm constantly just all talk. I can't do anything. I have no money to do anything. I worked minimum wage jobs, you know, and a lot of them were with high school students, and I was already 25 at that time, so I didn't really have a connection with a lot of them. And she was just like, shut up. Here you go. Let's do this.
let's do this.
And,
So T, you're a lifesaver.
I mean, I don't know. Nah, I mean, I wouldn't say that. I think that we have both had, our relationship, no relationship is ever perfect. And I think that just like her, I was also not in the greatest place when we first met. So I never want to be like, oh, yeah, I saved or whatever. Like, because, no, absolutely not. No way. Because our relationship is mutually, not that it's about benefiting, but we support each other equally. So I can't look at it that way of like you say
in a positive way. It's like you're in a supportive environment and supportive relationship, and just like any relationship that has many ups and downs, running a business is challenging. So how are you both able to navigate the challenges of having to own an LGBTQIA plus shop?
Well, it starts with making sure who's the paper person and who's the talker. And that's, you can tell.
Yes, I can like, distinguish which one.
So for me, I didn't really, I wanted to be a great support system for the LGBT community. Mainly because, we're part of that, right? But like when we first got the shop, that was one of the biggest fears she had. I was over here like, oh, let's put the flag everywhere, you know, let's be bright, you know, let's tell everybody that we're not afraid, we're gay, we're here to stay, you know. And she was like, calm down. We don't want to get, you know, like attacked just for being who we are, you know. And I think a lot of the time she does kind of give me that reality hit of like, okay, I love your passion, but let's look at this logically, you know. What can we do? What can we do to try to keep supporting? And we did it a little bit more on a smaller scale of things until now. I think we're a bit more like, very much like, hey, we're a queer-owned business. We are here. We serve you delicious boba, you know. And if you ever need a place to talk, if I'm here, I will talk. I will sit and talk with you.
Yeah.
But she, like, really told me at the beginning of like all the different kind of fears that a business who's proudly gay can like come across, and one of them is definitely being a target, you know.
Yeah, right.
And being already women-owned business, being like people of color, you know, and that alone is already a target on our back, you know. We have so many men out there who try to come in here and tell us like, oh, we know you can do your business better. I'm like, stop telling me what to do, you know. That's one of the things that kind of bothers me, is when a man thinks that they know better than me. I mean, I think I know my business just because it's what I'm proud of, you know. But what do you think?
Yeah, that was definitely a big part of the beginning of our business, of how much do we want to say about ourselves, how much do we want to represent the community. And I will admit that I was afraid to have a flag up, or to be like, hey, this shop is owned by two women, or two queer women especially. But I think nowadays it's like, I don't care if we lose the business of people who don't support us, because that's not business that I want either way, you know. And I think I've gotten to a point where that is just how I feel about it. Like, I don't want to sacrifice my own safety or my own morals, my own sense of comfortability for somebody else's sake.
Right. And your business is built on your identity and what you represent. So if you change it to fit just one's opinion or how they see a business should be, then it will not be you anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, having an affirming space for the community is something that you you're really building on. And you did mention about how it influenced how you are building and leading this business. Is there anything that you want to add, just like, you know, having a community space, like events? What are the events that you have here?
Actually, this month is our anniversary month for the shop.
Oh,
so
happy anniversary!
Thank you.
How many years?
For the shop itself, we're hitting 2 years.
Oh.
But we got the LLC Halloween Day of 2022. Spooky.
Spooky, but congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is so crazy to believe that we are still here. And I mean, I know we're still in that beginning stages of a small business, you know, 3 to 5 years, that's when you really can tell if a business will succeed. And every year that we've been in business, we've gone through that, should we sell it? Should we just give up, you know? But then we remember of all the people that we've changed, like the lives we've changed, and not even that we changed their lives, but they changed our lives, you know? And that's what keeps us going, you know? Like sometimes we're like, oh man, we're really cutting it short here with our money, you know, our finances, but then, you know, our community alone, they just want to help us as much as possible. So our anniversary, we actually have our community donating items from their small businesses to give away to the first 50 customers that come in on June 28th for our grand open, our anniversary, yeah,
yes.
our anniversary. A lot of them are actually part of our little artist nook here.
Yes, I've seen like the shelf is, and you mentioned that you're supporting local businesses.
Yes.
And 100% of the sales goes to them. You don't even get a commission for it. Wow, that's amazing. So you're not only supporting the whole entire LGBTQIA plus community, but also the artists and creative. It's incredible.
I like to say that our shop alone is a community space. You know, like we always, when people come in and there's the first time, we always ask them, how do you find us? a lot was like, oh, you have 5 stars on Yelp or 5 stars on Google. I'm like, well, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
The majority of what I tell them is like the very first thing is, well, we are a community-based boba shop, meaning that we like to support the community as much as possible. And I always tell them about the great events we have here, the small businesses. We have over a dozen small businesses that we are supporting right now in our little artist nut. On top of that, we do Small Business Saturday here once a month, and that's when we have one vendor pop up. We don't charge them or anything. We just say, hey, you may or may not make sales, but at least your name is out there,
Right.
you know? And we did that because when we first started, we started off just like everyone else as a vendor. We would pop up in the heat here in Las Vegas, and we would hope that somebody would buy a drink from us. And even though there's other coffee shops or lemonade stands, you know, like we started in a place where the demographic was not boba wanting, it was more coffee wanting, and we're like, oh, but I was still proud because we still made $400 that day, you know.
Small wins, small wins.
yeah.
Or it's a big win, actually, $400. I mean,
Well, that was before all the fees.
that's true.
So really, I didn't pay back any of my fees,
Uh-huh.
or I paid it, but I didn't
Uh-huh.
like fully cover it all.
Yeah.
But to me, I was like, I can't believe we did that, you know. And I didn't sleep that whole week, but it was still great, and we met all these great. There's small businesses that supported us, like Yakizen. They are also a queer-owned vegan, like what would you say, Mexican food? Yeah, Mexican food. They had, for me, they had the best ceviche, vegan ceviche. If you guys ever want some of that.
Okay.
And then there's also like Windfall Coffee. She's a women-owned business. We actually get our coffee beans from her. And so we do our best to support the community because they have supported us in coming up here.
Yeah, and so you're giving back to the community. Is
Yeah.
that what you're also doing? And representation is such a powerful thing. And what do you think it's important to have queer and NHBI voices be visible in the business industry?
I think it comes down to what we were saying like earlier about how it can be very scary, you know, to put yourself out there. And that goes with anything. It doesn't matter whether or not you're like, oh, I'm queer, you know, I'm an Asian-owned business, you know. It's putting yourself out there means you're putting yourself through a change that you're not comfortable with. And sometimes in order for things to grow, you have to change it, you know, you have to bend, you have to break, you know. When you're a kid, your body is growing, your body is bending and breaking, you know. So I think that's why it's so important for us to constantly be like a face of it, you know, like instead of saying, oh yeah, you know, we're a queer-owned business. And people are like, yeah, whatever, you're just like Target, you know, just say you support the gays, you know. But we're not, we are very much queer-owned, you
Yes.
know. And especially with what's going on in this world right now, it's very scary to think that our rights could be taken by itself, you know. We've only been married for almost 2 years now in November, but we've been together for 6 years.
Wow.
And I remember that was one thing that we did kind of argue a bit about was whether or not we should get married. Part of it was we don't got the money. But the other part was I think I came from a relationship with a guy and then I got with her. So for me, the idea of marriage never was political. It was just like, oh, let's just do it, you know?
Okay.
But for her, it was more of like, there was a lot more fear behind just being in a gay relationship. And at some point, we were just like, yeah, let's just go do it. Let's just go get married. And we did. And now to rethink about that, like, you know, oh my God, the possibility of what we have now could be just taken away from us, you know? And me personally, I'm not fully educated in like the political stance of everything, but I know when my morals are being challenged, you know, whether or not I should fight for something, and this is one thing I want to fight for.
Yeah. And you're fighting for representation and that you and others also can succeed in this industry regardless of what your identity is.
Yeah.
And like what you said, you know, there are changes, you know, changes happen all the time, but there is life after those changes.
Yes. Yeah.
And T, so what kind of impact do you see this cafe having in our community or in your community?
I think that we are just a good place for people to connect with each other, whether it is with their own business or themselves personally. I hope that our shop is able to bring people together, because ultimately that's I don't yes, I want to be successful, but at the end of the day, I care about what my impact is on my community and the people around me. So I would hope that we are able to be a safe place for other people, even if you just want to show up and just talk, or show up and just need a place to get away. Just knowing that you can come into a place and you won't be judged for who you are. Because there's been times when I'm out with her and we're holding hands, and then I feel a little weird because there's this, and I don't know, it's like a slight tension in the air where you're being like looked at, judged. And it's uncomfortable, and as queer people, I know some people who are not queer may not fully understand that feeling of, or notice that feeling, but it is very much prevalent. So I want to be a spot where people don't have to worry about that. They can just come in here and they can just be who they want to be. They can be who they want to be with.
Yeah, no labels.
Yeah. But that's what I hope for.
And well, I'm sorry that you still experience that way when you're in a very like tense environment, but it's great that you're having this place as a community hub for people to connect, to find a safe place, and to be who they really are, And I'm just gonna be asking, do you like boba right now? Because previously, because in the past you're like, oh, you don't love boba. Do you love it now?
I do. I came around. It's like what most people say if they don't like boba. It's like the texture thing, but I don't know. I think I found things that I like is what it is, and
this is good. This is like a fruit tea, very refreshing. I've been like drinking since
That's actually a lychee strawberry lemonade, and that's like another thing that we like to do is we try to find like flavors that represent who we are, where we came from, and try to put it into a drink that isn't already like at other places.
Right.
So when you were talking about the whole if she likes boba or not, I also want to like elaborate on that.
Okay.
I love boba, okay?
Okay.
But I drink it like 4 or 5 times a day. But the shop alone doesn't just sell boba. We sell coffee, we do lemonades, we do blended drinks, and the best part is that we don't just assume you want boba. So we always ask you, like, do you want it in there? Because that could be a thing. Like she said, texture. We do have a lot of people who are like texture sensitive to things. So they don't they freak out when it's there.
So you offer whatever you try to cater to what the customer needs. And thank you for clarifying that. I mean, not just boba milk tea. Hey, you need to come over here so you can try their fruit teas, their coffee, blended drinks, and boba with the pearls. It depends on what you like. So, but thank you for sharing that. And your stories are so inspiring in so many levels. So I know we're reaching the top of the hour, but what can you say to the community, especially those who want to go into business, or just encourage them?
I would tell them that it is